Shamgar, the son of Anath. This next judge is a perfect example of who they were and what they were being used for. God said it point blank. You don't need a king. I'm your king. If you get a king, you're going to be governed like these other nations, which is government corruption, plain as day, deep state and all that crap, taxes and whatnot. So it couldn't have been more clear. Don't go this route. So what it looks like is that there were plenty of giants and people with special abilities on the planet, and God was using them to keep his people safe and kind of right the ship and bumpers, if you will, to kind of just keep everything going the way it's supposed to go. So who is Shamgar, the son of Anath? We'll start with the son of Anath part. When the Israelites got to the promised land, in a matter of speaking, there was two different forms of bad guys. A very vague way to say that. There were tent dwellers and nomads, and then there were the big boys, the fortified cities. So there wasn't a lot of them, but there were a chunk of fortified cities, and if you do the genealogy, it comes from Amorites and Jebusites and Perizzites and the giants. So, and they all get listed, and a lot of them, it would be like Kirith Arba, the land of Arba, Arba being the father of the Anak giants, Kirith Sefer, which was the land of mysticism or scribes. But then you have the Beths. So Bethlehem, we're all familiar with, actually is a promised land area, which means house of war. So we're going to go to Judges 133. Neither did Naphtali drive out the inhabitants of Beth Shemesh, nor the inhabitants of Beth Anath. But they dwelt among the Canaanites. Nevertheless, the inhabitants of Beth Shemesh and Beth Anath became tributaries unto them. Tributaries is forced labor, and there's plenty of examples of giants becoming forced labor. Wrap your mind around this. You know, I'm crazy, but giants using their strength to carry these big stones, pyramids, to build these structures. It's wild, right? So we've got the son of Anath coming from Beth Anath, one of the promised land conquest areas, one of the fortified cities. So that gives us an idea of where he comes from and how tall he may have been. Now, a next example. This is a really good example. There's a certain pattern with the judges. So basically, the judge would be there, and they would do what they did. They would die, and it would always say, "And the children of Israel again did evil in the sight of the Lord when such and such dies." Now, this gentleman, it says specifically, "And the children of Israel again did evil in the sight of the Lord when Ehud was dead." If you remember, Ehud was the video before this one. A different judge, that did a bunch of stuff. So this guy, Shamgar, it does look like he was used for a specific battle, not to be a ruler over the people. Gives it more credence that that's what they were being used for. They had special abilities, and they would either keep people safe for 40 years, 30 years, 20 years, or a major battle. Because at that time, the surrounding nations, specifically the Philistines, were just having raid parties and just trying to close in and eliminate Israel. So they would get a wild hair, and it would be a major battle, and then something would happen. Another example is in Judges 5:6. So in Judges 5, it's the judge Deborah, and we'll get to her later. But after her story, there's Deborah's song, and it's a celebratory song. But there's a specific line in there. In the days of Shamgar, son of Anath, in the days of Jael, the roads were abandoned, and the travelers walked by byways. That's referring to the days of the King's Highway. And that was the actual second film that I did. If you haven't seen it, please check it out. Basically, Israelites were trying to safely, calmly get to the promised land. They didn't want no trouble, but they had to go through 4 areas of giant kings, and there was major battles, and all the giant kings perished. King Og, King Sion, stuff like that. Basically, it got through the land. Everyone knew that this group, the Israelites, had a very powerful God keeping them safe. But it mentions the days of Shamgar. So again, the way it looks is Shamgar was an inhabitant pre-promised land and was able to stay over and just coexist as long as there wasn't any trouble. So he just happened to be a big guy with special abilities that got tapped on the shoulder during a major war. Now, specifically, he slew of the Philistines 600 men with an ox goad, and he also delivered Israel. And that's the only claim to fame with this gentleman. And through the Judges, we'll go over that, how the pattern changes for what was necessary for that person. But it looks like this gentleman was just living. He had an ox goad. An ox goad is a really long staff that you use to goad ox into their pen. Looks to be that he was domesticated giant, was just a dude just living. And because of who he was during this monster war, he got tapped. May have actually been when he was working and went and slew 600 Philistines and, protecting Israel. So not a lot on this gentleman, but it's actually a bigger story because it backs the point of the Judges that, again, the translation's off. They weren't judges. No one actually did any judging. They were used to protect Israel during battles. And they had special abilities. So Shamgar, the son of Anath, not a lot on him again, but it's a bigger story of who they were and what was really going down and what the intent was. We're not supposed to be governed. We're not supposed to live to 65 or 67 and then hope to retire. We're supposed to enjoy this place. That's why God made it and gave it to us.